Part 1. Why this book became so important. Hi everyone. Welcome to English Rise. If you want to grow your English while growing your life, remember to subscribe and stay close to this journey. Let's begin. In the last years, one book has been recommended again and again to people who want real change. The book is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Maybe you have heard of it. Maybe you even started it. Maybe it is sitting on your shelf looking at you. The central idea of this book is simple and very powerful. Small habits can create huge changes when you repeat them consistently over time. Not big, dramatic transformations, not new life in 30 days, but quiet, steady progress that comes from tiny actions you do every day. In this video, you will train your English while walking through the key ideas of atomic habits and connecting them to your own life, including your journey with English. Part 2. What atomic really means. When you hear atomic, you might think of bombs and big explosions. But in the book, atomic has a different flavor. An atom is something very small that can also contain huge energy. So an atomic habit is a tiny behavior repeated consistently that can release enormous power over time. The book reminds us, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your goals are your dreams and intentions. Your systems are your habits. You can say, I want to be fluent in English. I want to be healthy. I want to be more confident. But if your habits do not match these desires, your life will not change. Atomic Habits invites you to stop worshiping big goals and start building small systems. Part 3. The Magic of 1% Better. One of the most famous ideas in the book is the power of 1% improvement. Imagine you become just a little better each day, not 50% better, not 10% better, only 1%. If you get 1% better every day for 1 year, the effect of that tiny improvement compounds. This means the benefits multiply. At the end of a year, you are not 30% better. You are much, much more. The exact number is not so important here. What matters is the logic. Small improvements do not stay small when you repeat them thousands of times. It is the same with 1% worse. If every day you are a little more distracted, a little more careless, a little less active, that also compounds. Over a year, you may feel like your life suddenly got worse, but in reality, it was a slow slide of tiny negative habits. Atomic Habits teaches you to respect the power of small daily choices because they are never just about today. They are about who you become. Part 4. Habits are not about what you do, but who you are becoming. One of the deepest ideas in Atomic Habits is about identity. James Clear explains that there are 3 levels of change. The first level is changing results. For example, losing weight, getting a promotion, passing a test, reaching fluency. The second level is changing your process. For example, your routines, your study methods, your training program. The third level is changing your identity. For example, who you believe you are. I am an athlete. I am a healthy person. I am a serious learner. I am the kind of person who follows through. Most people only focus on results. Some focus on process. Very few people focus on identity. But identity is the most powerful, because you naturally tend to act in ways that are consistent with your self-image. If deep down you still believe, I am lazy, I am disorganized, I am bad at English, your brain will resist habits that do not match this identity. Atomic Habits suggests a different path. Instead of asking, "What result do I want?" ask, "Who do I want to become?" Then use small habits as votes for that new identity. Every time you practice English, you are casting a vote for, "I am a person who takes English seriously." Every time you move your body, you are voting for, "I am a person who cares about my health." You do not need 100% of the votes. You just need enough votes in the right direction so that this new identity starts to feel true. Part 5. The 4 Elements of a Habit. In the book, James Clear explains that every habit has 4 parts. First, the cue, something that triggers the habit. For example, waking up, seeing your phone, finishing work. Second, the craving, the desire or feeling that pushes you. For example, the desire to feel relaxed, entertained, productive, connected. Third, the response, the behavior itself. For example, opening social media, making coffee, practicing English, smoking, brushing your teeth. Fourth, the reward, the benefit you get. For example, pleasure, relief, clarity, a sense of progress. Habits are built when your brain learns. After this cue, if I do this action, I get this reward. Understanding these 4 parts helps you change your habits more intelligently. You stop thinking, "I have no discipline," and start thinking, "How can I adjust the cue, the craving, the response, or the reward so this habit becomes easier or less attractive?" Part 6. How to Build Good Habits, according to Atomic Habits. The book presents what James Clear calls the 4 laws of behavior change. We will not use that exact structure here, but we will capture the essence. To build a good habit, you want to make it obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying. Let us connect this to English. Obvious. You put English in front of your eyes. For example, your notebook on the table, your headphones ready, your English app on the first screen, a post-it note that reminds you of your daily practice. Attractive. You connect English with something you enjoy. For example, content about topics you love, music you like without focusing on perfection, a warm drink during your study time, the feeling of future me being proud. Easy. You reduce resistance. You stop planning 2 hours a day that you never do. You start with 10 or 15 minutes. Short audios, simple speaking exercises. You lower the barrier so it is almost harder to say no than to say yes. Satisfying. You give your brain a sense of reward. You mark your day on a calendar. You write one sentence about what you did. You feel the small victory of keeping a promise. When a habit is obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, you do not need superhuman motivation. You just need to follow the path you already prepared. Part 7. How to Break Bad Habits, according to Atomic Habits. The same logic works in reverse. To weaken a bad habit, you can make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, unsatisfying. For example, imagine your habit is to waste 1 hour scrolling on your phone before bed. Invisible. You keep your phone in another room or far from the bed. Unattractive. You remind yourself how tired and foggy you feel the next morning when you sleep late. Difficult. You log out of your social apps or remove them from the first screen so there is friction. Unsatisfying. You write down every night how many minutes you lost and how you feel. The habit becomes less pleasant, less automatic. With English, a bad habit could be always staying silent, always switching to your native language, Always saying, I understand when you do not. Invisible. You avoid situations where you can escape easily. For example, you join spaces where English is really needed. Unattractive. You connect this silence with lost opportunities. Difficult. You create rules like, in every meeting, I must say one thing in English. So hiding is no longer the easy option. Unsatisfying. You ask yourself at night, did I stay silent again? Or did I at least try? You are not punishing yourself. You are changing the environment around your habit. This is a big lesson from Atomic Habits. Do not only try to be stronger. Design your surroundings so that the right action is the natural action. Part 8. The Power of Habit Stacking. One practical tool from the book is called habit stacking. The idea is, you attach a new habit to an old, existing one. You use the sentence, after I do current habit, I will do new habit. For example, after I make my morning coffee, I will listen to English for 10 minutes. After I finish lunch, I will write 3 sentences in English. After I sit at my desk to start work, I will read 1 short paragraph in English. This works because your current habits are already stable. You do them without thinking. They become a natural cue for the new behavior. Instead of trying to create a habit in the air, you attach it to something that already exists. This makes your routine more automatic and your English more integrated into your daily life. Part 9. Losing the all-or-nothing mentality. James Clear also talks about a huge enemy of good habits, the all-or-nothing mentality. The voice that says, if I cannot do it perfectly, I will not do it at all. You promise yourself, I will study English 1 hour every day. Then a busy day comes. You miss 1 session. The all-or-nothing voice says, you broke the chain, you failed, forget it. Then you stop for a week. Atomic Habits suggests a different rule. Never miss twice. Missing 1 day is normal. Life happens. Missing 2 days in a row is the beginning of a new habit, the habit of stopping. So instead of thinking, I must always do a lot, you think, on difficult days, I will do something tiny, so I do not lose the identity of someone who shows up. 5 minutes, 1 paragraph, a short audio. This protects the most important part, your sense of being the kind of person who continues. Part 10. Atomic Habits and Your English Identity. Let us put everything together for your English. From the book Atomic Habits, you learn that small actions compound over time. Habits shape identity. Environment beats willpower. 1% better every day matters more than big, temporary effort. So ask yourself, if I truly believed these ideas, how would I live with English for the next year? Maybe you would. Stop saying, I need motivation, and start organizing your environment. Use habit stacking to connect English to daily routines. Treat every short practice as a vote for the identity I am an English speaker, not as something small and useless. Refuse the all-or-nothing trap and protect your chain by doing at least a tiny action even on bad days. You would worry less about dramatic progress and more about not disappearing. At the end of that year, your English would probably be at a level you cannot fully imagine today. Not because you are special, because your habits did the quiet work for you. You have reached the end of Atomic Habits, Small Habits, Big Change, here on English Rise. You walked through the central ideas of Atomic Habits by James Clear. The power of tiny atomic habits. The magic of 1% better. The connection between habits and identity. The 4 parts of every habit. How to make good habits easier and bad habits harder. The tool of habit stacking. And the importance of losing the all-or-nothing mentality. You saw how these ideas can completely change the way you live, especially in your relationship with English. From today on, when you feel disappointed because your progress looks small, remember the voice of this book. Small is not weak. Small is a beginning. Every repetition is a vote for the person you are becoming. You do not need a perfect plan. You need small, honest atomic habits, repeated again and again for your English and for the life you are quietly building.